Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the panel here with Daniel Crosier moderating, Chaz Kemp, the artist extraordinaire. We're going to have Daniel interview Chaz here for about 30 minutes, and then after that, we'll take questions from the audience. So welcome, everybody. And Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away. But first, Daniel, please introduce yourself, because you are also an artist extraordinaire. So introduce yourself, and then we'll go ahead and get to know Chaz. Take it away, guys.
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and thanks for turning out for NanCon Online. And I am your host today, with this panel. My name is Daniel Crosier. I am also an accused visual artist. I do a lot of sculpting, woodworking. I'm also a co-founder of DEEK, the Denver Independent Comic and Art Expo, and COFO, Colorado Festival of Horror, of which we've had to postpone till next year. So, but I am here with my guest, Chaz Kemp, phenomenal artist. How you doing, Chaz?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing excellent. I've got my cup of coffee, and I can't wait to formally meet you on the virtual platform that is the web.
Excellent. I am looking forward to it.
So, Chaz, we were talking about before we got into all of this that you have an extensive music background.
I do. I was in a band called Pandora Celtica, and we are and we're a dark fairy Celtic a cappella band.
Oh, sweet!
Yeah, we still have some albums up, I think, on iTunes and various other places like that. We have 7 albums, and we toured all over the country and stuff. And basically, if it sank, we'll sing about it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we were talking about, it's like, it'd be great to see you apply your music to the end of Titanic.
Yeah, that would have been fun. I think it would have been a better song than the song they chose, because we could have sang about, how Jack died and it was his own fault because, he was stupid. And yeah, we would just go on from there, and stupid people always get killed, which is just fine. So I don't know. Wouldn't have been uplifting at all, but
that's okay. It was Leonardo DiCaprio, it's like, of course, we all got to be sad for him. And so, but it'd be great to like superimpose, especially in this day and age with CG, just take your band, put them on a floating door in the background and stuff, and do it live.
Yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been fun. But I'm all about the art now. So.
Yeah. Well, and music is an extension of that. So you were, and you still are a musician, but, tell us about how you segued into the visual arts.
I would have to start kind of before the music, because I was an actor for a while as well. So I was an actor for about 20 years.
That's right.
And then from there, I was doing acting, but I also kind of started doing music on the side. And then I pretty much devoted myself to the music for a while. And again, we, started my band Pandora Celtica with another friend of mine. And we started the band together and just kind of went from there. And that took off really nicely. But then during that time, I started realizing that while we were out on the road touring, the thing that I was really missing was drawing. Until after a while, it was like drawing was the thing that I really wanted to do. I wanted to do the graphic arts. I wanted to do graphic design. I wanted to do illustration. So it was almost like I really enjoyed being on stage and performing for people. Really enjoyed songwriting and various things like that, drumming, etc. But the thing that I was really being drawn towards was just doing art. So when the band ended, and technically we're still on hiatus.
Oh, okay.
But when we kind of ended things, that's when I could really jump into my freelance career. So I started freelancing while the band was still going on. And then once the band was over, then I could fully concentrate everything into art. So I usually ended up doing a couple of different things at the same time, and then dropping the one thing, focusing on that, and then picking up something else. But
Yeah.
art for me is my last stop in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's always been that constant.
Yeah, it's as time went on. I mean, I went to Art Institute, and then after that, then I started my career as a graphic designer,
Mhm.
and found that I really loved it. Like, I loved Art Institute. I loved everything about it.
Mm.
And then I loved graphic design. I just didn't like the people that I worked for.
Oh, okay.
You know, then I
I
went to
can
another
understand
company.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of working with that. Is it the corporate world that was kind of the turn off, or just not working
It,
with too much
it
creativity?
also the corporate world. Yeah. One of the problems that I had was, one, in the corporate world, artists aren't very well respected anyway.
Right.
The fact that I'm Black, I also experienced a lot of racism,
Yeah.
where I even had one boss tell me, you know, hey, you're lucky to even have a job. I know I promised you, you
Whoa.
know, $70,000 a year like everybody else is making, but you're Black. You should be used to being poor.
Oh, gee.
So, you
What
know,
the?
it was stuff like that was where I was like, all right, I don't
Yeah.
really want to work for you guys anymore.
Right.
I don't really want to do this bit, because for me, I don't want my fate decided by someone else. You know, if you work in a job, you work in a 9 to 5 gig, if they
Yeah.
like you and they think you're cool, they pay you what you're worth, and you're happy, they're happy, everything's great, everything's roses. And sure, that's a fantastic job then. But you're still depending on your boss being nice to you,
Hmm.
you know. And sometimes it has nothing to do with your talent. It has nothing to
Yeah.
do with how easy you are to get along with, how quick you get your work done, whether you hit your deadlines. Has nothing to do with any of that. It all comes down to whether or not they like you,
Yeah.
and they have control over your financial future,
Oh.
you know.
That-
And I just, you know, after a while, I was like, you know, I want respect, I want the money that I feel I deserve, and I want to work with people who like my stuff. And then whether or not I get paid completely depends on how good of a job I do.
mhm.
You know, I wanted it to be completely in my hands, and so that's worked out really great for me.
Wow. And yeah. So now you're
Sorry to bring
predominantly
everything
doing
down.
what's that?
So sorry to bring everything down.
Oh no, this is great because you've got a lot of young Black artists out there that are experiencing these things too, and I would imagine that they need to know that there's others out there. This is how you've dealt with it and stuff, and so I'd imagine it's a good teaching tool. It's a leading by example.
I
So
hope so.
yeah, these are stories that everybody needs to hear. As a white man, I need to hear this stuff
Right.
because it shows me that how I need to adjust. Like even if I think I'm helping, I might not be helping, and I don't know that. So
Well, it's a lesson that applies to not just Black people. It applies
yeah,
to all people of color. It also applies to women.
right,
You know, women have been going through a lot of what we've been going through. People of color, regardless of color, end up having to go through a lot of the same kinds of things. And, you know, we were always taught from a very young age, you know, women, people of color were always taught that we have to work twice as hard to
yeah,
get as much. And so that was what we did. And so we were used to working really, really, really hard. And the thing is that all anybody really wants is an equal opportunity to succeed. You know, nobody is asking for more than what we deserve.
yeah,
You know, for me, all I wanted was just an opportunity. All I wanted was a shot, the same shot that everybody else gets.
yeah,
And when I didn't receive that, that's when I said, well, you know what? I want to do this on my own, you know? So when we grow up, as we are growing up, schools especially middle schools, high schools, community colleges, trade schools, etc., we are taught how to work for someone else. We're not actually taught how to work for ourselves. And that's been a problem, especially in American society, for a very, very long time. Until you start to ask yourself, well, why can't I be the person at the top of the totem pole? Why can't I be the person at the top of that pyramid? What's stopping me from doing it? And then you start to realize that there is a serious lack of education in terms of how does an artist become freelance?
Right.
How do you get gigs? What do you charge people? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a serious lack of information in that regard. And you certainly don't get that in school.
Right.
So, we're taught how to work for someone else. We're taught how to build our portfolio in such a way that somebody will hire us, as opposed to saying, I want to build my portfolio in such a way that I attract clients.
Right. On that respect, that is something I ran into, in art school as well. And being infuriated with not having access to like business courses, because it was just the art school, just teaching you the craft and to think about all the isms, but no business there, and then also no ethics to go along with that too. Would you recommend that that's something that art schools and art curriculums need to really incorporate?
Yeah, I think they should, because again, if you want to be a freelance illustrator and you want to, say, do book covers and magazine covers like I do, then there is a particular path that you should take in order to do that. If you want to work for the gaming industry, well, there's a particular path that you should follow. If you want to have your stuff in galleries, well, that's a different path. And so, artists need to understand what those particular paths are like. And there are some artists, of course, that, they want to work for Disney. Nothing wrong with that. They want to be an animator. Great. Nothing wrong with that. I want to work for Pixar. Fantastic. There should be something specific that says, well, if you want to pursue that, here is what you need in your portfolio. Here are the skills that you need to show them. Here are the steps that you need to take to make sure that you are ready.
Yeah.
And there is, like I said, there's a decided lack of that. In Art Institute, it wasn't so much about them making us ready for a career outside of school. It was more like a money grab. You have 11 weeks and the teachers have to teach you everything about Photoshop in 11 weeks, everything about Illustrator in 11 weeks. And it's a crash course. It's nothing but a crash course. You study your butt off. But then in the end, you've got these skills. How good you are, we don't know. But now you're out there in the world and you have to kind of make your way. And you're like, well, I know how to use Illustrator. I know how to use CorelDRAW.
Yeah.
But how good are you?
Yeah.
What does your portfolio look like? Things like that.
Yeah. How do you navigate the world outside of that?
Exactly.
Did they, with your curriculum, did they teach you how to put together portfolios and how to present?
That was towards the end. But see, I ended up getting talked into taking multimedia and web design.
I remember catching the interview on Instagram the other day with Jadine. I think she's watching. She's got her mic shut off. So hi, Jadine. But yeah, it sounded like you picked up quite a bit prior to art school, and then kind of figured out your way after art school.
I had a mentor that I worked with when I worked in the medical industry. He taught me how to draw on the computer, which was very cool. And then after that, I went to Art Institute. I ended up testing out of a bunch of classes, but the problem was I was talked into taking multimedia and web design because the counselor was like, oh, you'll make a ton of money doing this. And of course, everything that I learned doing that is completely obsolete now. And I don't want to be a web designer. To me, that's kind of boring. I don't want to learn code. I don't want to do any of that. I really just wanted to be an illustrator. So there were other classes that I probably should have taken, But again, those classes would have, and I did take some, like life drawing and various things like that. But the problem is that they still don't teach you what to do with those skills once you have them.
Yeah. Nowadays, like for people, either going into art school or choosing not to, how would you advise, past learning your craft, how would you advise people to, get into the business aspect of it, so that they can, build a better foundation for themselves?
Well, as I was telling Jadine a couple of days ago, the first thing you want to do is be really, 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 really good at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So learn your craft, keep learning your craft, keep getting better, because if you're good, that opens more doors for you. And then it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what your particular hurdles are, what country you come from. It doesn't matter. If you're good, people are going to start paying attention to you. And what good is, that's an ongoing thing, obviously. But then after that, what you do is you find the person that's doing the thing that you want to do. Find the people that are doing the thing that you want to do, and then start talking to them and asking them questions. Send them emails, that kind of thing. What I started doing when I went freelance about 10 and a half years ago, I found every artist that I wanted to talk to, found out what conventions they were going to be at and things like that. I would try to go to those conventions, and then I would wait in line and try to find some time to talk to them and say, hey, how did you get into this? How long did it take before you were successful? What should I do? What are some of my first steps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I also just kind of jumped into it with both feet. So I wanted to do book covers and magazine covers. So the first thing I did when I got my severance pay from my last corporate job was I bought a ticket to WorldCon when it was here in Denver. And I spent some money on postcards with my art on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took those postcards to the convention, went to the dealer's room, and I talked to every single publisher in the dealer's room. And it didn't matter how big they were, how small they were. I talked to every one of them. I said, hey, if ever you need a cover artist or you need someone to do your interiors, here's my card.
Yes.
And I talked to them, and I talked to everybody, and that's part of the hustle.
Yeah.
But I jumped in with both feet, and luckily I got hired on by a couple of publishers, and then I started understanding how to work with an art director and various things like that. Learned how to become a faster artist, that kind of thing. So yeah, and you just continue to pick up knowledge and information as you go, especially when it pertains to what it is you want to do.
That's fantastic. So everybody that's listening and watching this, listen to what Chaz has to say. Definitely try to apply that, to what you're doing.
Right. Talk to the people that are important to you, that are already where you want to be.
Yeah, and I would say that that doesn't just pertain to the visual arts.
No.
Writing can be music. You just got to make that effort. Chaz, let's talk about your creative process. From that previous interview too, I gathered that you were starting out doing vector, and now you're doing watercolors. Is it a combination of the two?
No, not usually, not really. Not yet. I may find a way to combine the two.
Oh, okay.
If I can figure out a way to do it and make it look really cool.
Yeah.
But for right now, there's so much for me to learn in terms of watercolor that I really just kind of want to do a deep dive into that. In fact, I switched over my portfolio completely. I took out all of my vector stuff, and now there's nothing but watercolor stuff in my portfolio because that's the work that I want to do right now.
Okay.
And I'm getting my portfolio. I'm preparing it so that I can start working for tabletop role-playing games, the board game industry, stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm doing that. I'm also working. I'm the art director for Evil Beagle Games. Just got hired about a month and a half ago. So I'll be doing a lot more tabletop role-playing game stuff and whatnot. So yeah, it's cool. But for right now, I'm very much sticking with the watercolor bit for now. You know, because I could always do the vector stuff later. I've been doing that for a really long time, but I really want to do a deep dive because I want to learn more about it and I want to make it my own thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Watercolors is absolutely fantastic. It's, to me, it's a, you know, using it is, there's that romantic aspect, you know, getting the bleeds and everything to flow. One of my favorite watercolors is actually here in Denver, Morgan Beam.
okay.
And she does these really vibrant colors for you know, different comic books and stuff. And I've seen a lot of your work online, and you know, are you normally like doing some of the pieces that you're doing now? Are they for prints? Or are they for clients and stuff?
I've started taking commissions and I'm not charging very much for them, just because I wanted to be able to, again, my goal is always to have I want everyone in the world to have a piece of my art in their homes.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
always a big thing for me. So I'm not charging very much, but I also, because I really want to dive deep into the watercolor stuff, I'm just basically getting people that want like their favorite role-playing game character or a family portrait or your
Oh,
dog or whatever it is, you know, hire me to do a commission.
yeah.
You can go through my website, and I've been getting a lot of people that have been hiring me to do stuff for them. And so it gives me a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And so I get to basically, it's a crash course in figuring all of this stuff out, you know, because nothing puts pressure on you than somebody giving you money and saying do the thing.
Yeah. Uh, that's that's pretty cool. The what's your website again?
It's www.chazkemp.com.
Excellent. Everybody, go to that website. Get a fantastic piece of original art from Chaz.
Thank you.
And then, Chaz, what, you know, as far as like topics go, like what are your preference when you're just doing art for your own self? Like, where do you usually, you know, where does your mind go? Where do you, you know, what do you like to illustrate and paint?
I like to do fantasy, sci-fi. I like to do steampunk.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
I've done a lot of steampunk. In fact, with my wife, Carolyn Kay, she's an author. So I've done 3 book covers for her. We have our shared world of Ashelon.
Oh, cool.
And I also, back in the end part of 2018, I finished an Oracle deck. So that's 52 cards for people that are into Oracle and Tarot and stuff like that. So I finished the deck. It was a 3-year process, but I finished it, and it's out online too. So if anybody wants the Ashelon Oracle deck, it's out there. People really groove on it, and we're pretty proud of it. So, you know, I did all the pictures. Carolyn wrote a lot of the stuff up in the books, in the one book anyway. And a lot of those characters that are in the deck are also part of our world of Ashelon and are in her book as well. So
Nice. So it sounds like there's no shortage of cool projects. Where can people find you know, the book and the card collection? Is that also on your website?
no, actually, the cards are on Etsy.
Okay.
So if you go and type in Ashelon, Ashelon Oracle deck, then you'll get taken to the Etsy site. You could buy it from there. The book you can get on Amazon.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah, and one of the things about the deck that I think people really groove on is that it's very diverse in terms of how the characters are in the deck. It's a very diverse deck. So we've got African people, we've got Irish people, we've got Viking people, we have Maori, we've got a Native American girl that I painted. So it's all in there. It's
Nice.
very cool.
Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
It is. It is. And that's been a big thing for us. And that's a big thing for me as an artist. I love diversity just because, you know, one of my biggest things is I would love to go into a Barnes and Noble, pull out a fantasy novel, and see, you know, a Native American person on the cover with a big sword, you know, fighting against, you know, goblins or something, you know, or
Oh,
I
cool.
want to look at a sci-fi novel and turn over the novel and see, you know, a Hispanic, you know, woman, you know, hair flying in the breeze with a ray gun, you know, fighting off a spaceship or something, you know, but you don't see any of that. You don't
Right.
get to see people of color on the covers of books that we love reading, you
Yeah,
know, and that's a problem.
I totally agree. It seems to me that, you know, like within fantasy, and this is probably true of all genres, I'd imagine, is you get that, you know, Western Eurocentric, you know, perspective where all the fantasies, somehow it all takes place in medieval, you know, England or something, or
Right.
some variation of that. At least that's what's known. But,
Right.
but there's just amazing, you know, Black and indigenous, you know, people, you know, creators that are just doing some phenomenal stuff
Absolutely.
that really need to take the forefront and
Absolutely.
present it as such. So I applaud you for making, you know, those efforts.
Well, I like I like a lot of independent authors, because independent authors aren't afraid of making, you know, taking chances and things like that. And you know, it's you're starting to see a lot more diversity among independent authors, independent comic book writers and artists as well, because I love comic books also. So I love seeing people take those kinds of risks, you know. We were going to do IACON, but I think it got postponed till next year. And IACON's completely run by Native Americans.
Yeah,
We so wanted to be there for that, because it's like, oh my God, I would love to be part of that whole thing, because
yeah,
again, it's something that you don't see, you know, and I desperately want to see it. And again, I want to point out to everyone, I have no problems with white people. I just want to make that perfectly clear. I'm not militant or anything like that. My wife is white. I
yeah,
have a lot of white friends. You know, again, I have no problems with any of that. I've drawn lots and lots and lots of Caucasian characters. Perfectly cool. I just also want
right.
people from other cultures to also be represented.
Yeah. Me being a white person, I've seen enough white people. I want more of what you've got to offer.
Well, I will let you say that. I
Yeah,
didn't say that, just for the record, guys. I
right.
was not the one that said that.
Yeah,
That was Daniel.
I am Dan Crosier, and I only reflect my perspective. So,
Cheers.
yes, cheers. So yeah, you're doing some amazing stuff. You were talking about comics just then. You know, going back to your arts, I mostly have seen, you know, your prints and things online, and I think in person too. But have you attempted to do a comic book?
Yeah, in 2012, I got roped into doing a graphic novel
Oh, cool.
with Peter J. Wax and Guy Anthony DeMarco. They were the writers.
Hmm.
And I only had 6 weeks to do it.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And I was the third artist they approached. They approached one person. They wrote, like, they drew 1 or 2 pages, and then they said, no, I'm not. I'm out. They came to me and said, hey, would you like to do this? I said, you know, I love comics. I've been reading comics all my life. I've never done a graphic novel. I don't think I'm the person for you, especially with the deadline that you guys have. And at the time, the deadline was like, you know, it was like 3 months.
Right.
And so they went with someone, they talked to some other people. And then by the time they got back to me, they only had 6 weeks left. And they said, look, we've talked to a whole bunch of other people. Nobody else can do it. You know, please do this with us. We'll give you money up front. Just, you know, please do this for us. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And it was horror. It was pretty graphic horror.
Oh, geez.
And so, yeah, I worked, God, I don't know, probably about 18 to 20 hours a day for 6 weeks.
Wow.
When I did sleep, I had nothing but constant nightmares of the things that I was drawing.
Right.
But it's called Behind These Eyes. I think you can still buy it online.
Okay.
But it got nominated for Bram Stoker Awards.
Oh,
So
cool.
yay. 6 weeks of nightmares culminates in being nominated for an award. Huzzah! So
Yeah. That's cool. Have you and your wife, thought about, putting together your own, comic book series based off of, what you've done together already?
We've thought about it, and I think if I did it now, I could certainly do a better job of it. But because I would give myself a lot longer than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much stuff on my plate right now.
Mhm.
I mean, other than doing stuff for Ashelon,
Right.
doing the commissions that I'm getting from people, and I'm also doing book covers and still doing magazine covers and various things like that,
Right.
as well as being an art director for Evil Beagle.
Mhm.
My plate is really, really full. So I don't see where I would be able to do something like that for a while.
Right.
Because I want to actually do an expansion to the Oracle deck that I put out there and everything like that. So yeah, there's a lot on my plate. So
Well, that's good. No shortage of projects with the new role playing with Evil Beagle. When can we expect that to come out?
well, we're hoping to have something in the works out to people around October.
Okay.
And then maybe something else by December, but I am not really at liberty to say as of yet. But we do have a lot of things in the works right now that we're doing, and we have an actual schedule. And they said, well, you could talk about the fact that we're doing something really new and exciting and really cool, which we are. But yeah, I'm not really at liberty to actually say what it is yet. We are doing some Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition stuff.
Yeah.
So that'll be really fun. So yeah, so stay tuned is what I can say.
Excellent. I think with that, let's open it up to the rest of the folks that are on Zoom with us. If you guys want to unmute your mics, if you're able to, I don't know if Colleen has the master control of that or not, but if there's any questions that you have for Chaz, feel free to start letting them come out.
Yeah, everyone can unmute themselves if they like, but this is Colleen. I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Colleen.
So with your band, I'm all into your band because I love music and I've seen you play a couple times. Are you still writing songs, even though you're on a hiatus? And I know it's COVID world here, or apocalypse world. Do you still have creativity in writing songs right now? Are you working on that?
I am not actually. I was really into the songwriting and everything like that while the band was going on. But currently, again, because I just switched over my style to watercolor, it's one of those things where it's like it opens up a whole nother world of stuff that I need to learn. I'm doing it all on Photoshop. So now I have to learn a lot about Photoshop, which is something I wanted to learn when I was going to Art Institute, but I tested out of it, unfortunately. So there's so much stuff to do, and I only have a few hours in the day, and to write songs, but then not necessarily have a band to where we could perform those songs, I have to kind of put that stuff on hold, unfortunately. So
yeah, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
No, it's all good. I was just curious.
Yeah, I really did enjoy the songwriting process, though. It was really, really fun, and then having it all come together to create a song. And I'll have to say, if you guys have the opportunity to ever do anything like that, there's nothing cooler than writing a song, having your band rehearse it, getting it down really well, performing it for people, and having people come up to you and say, wow, that's my favorite song. There's nothing better, nothing cooler than that. So everyone should be able to experience something like that at some point in their lives.
Now, Chaz, one question I have with that too is, do you experience like similar responses when you were performing as an actor as well as live as a musician?
No, not really.
Okay.
Because when I did write a lot of scripts and stuff when I had my I had an improvisational dramatic theater troupe for a while, and I would do things like I would write a script that was maybe a page and a half long, and then my troupe and we would turn it into an hour and a half long play, and then we would have a different one every week.
Right.
And so that was really cool. And some of those plays got really great receptions. Some of them not so much, but that was really just kind of a fun kind of hobby for us, really. So we never performed to the size of audience that I had when I had my band.
Okay.
So yeah. The reaction would be like, hey, that was a cool play, and that was kind of it,
Okay. That's usually what you get
Yeah.
at the end of it.
Yeah. So, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah, and working with other, doing stage performances too. I mean, what a huge, collaboration with other creators, whether it's other actors and other musicians. Do you find that it's one's harder to navigate than the other?
It really kind of depends on the personnel. When I'm doing art, I just really have to worry about me. I'm accountable to myself, and so it's my own. Yeah, exactly. It's my own. It's my work ethic. It's the quality of my work.
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on other people, which is the way that I wanted it. When you're in a band, you have to hope that everybody has the same vision that you do for where the band is going, and if they don't, then you start finding that people have their own agendas, and that doesn't always line up with what you're looking at. I mean, even though I started the band, I only had so much control over where we were going, because again, everybody had their own kind of agendas. If everybody was on the same page, then awesome, that we could do some really amazing stuff. But when I had a band member that kept saying, well, we should do cover tunes, and we should do cover songs, and we should do this, and we should do that, and it's like, we should go on that show. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? And I'm like, why would we want to do that?
Right.
So it became this weird thing. So it's tough. And then of course, when you're acting, again, you kind of have to worry about your own role, but then it also it's part of the ensemble. And it's different because then everyone is actually on the same page, because it's all about the show at that point. So yeah, it's a different kind of collaboration. Yes, you're individuals, but you all have a common goal.
Yeah.
And then you perform the play, or you do the movie, or you do the TV show, and then you're done. And then you go around, you thank the camera guy, you thank the lighting people, the producer, all those guys, and you say, man, thanks a lot, thanks so much for making me look good on camera, that kind of thing. And then you hopefully run into those people at a project later on down the road.
Yeah. It's amazing to see that type of courtesy and kindness too, because it really can be extended very far and can help take you far.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I won an Emmy Award back in 1990. It was cool, but it wasn't just me. It was the producer, it was the editor, it was the camera person. So for me to go, hey, I'm a hot shit actor, it's like it wasn't me by myself. It was a lot of other people behind there. So that's why it's a lot more of a collaborative effort in terms of acting than it is music.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's a whole different, it's a different kind of mindset entirely. So.
Right.
Well, I got another question, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm curious. What are both of you doing to stay sane during this whole apocalypse crap? Like, what are you doing to make yourself happy? What are you doing to keep sane? That question is to both of you.
Sure.
Daniel, I'll let you go.
Oh.
Go for it.
Well, let's see here. I learned that the stovetop is hot, so I burned myself a number of times, so that was good. Just a lot of cooking at home. my girlfriend, unfortunately, she's in Alabama right now, finishing a build out on a house. So that makes things really difficult. I knocked out 2 comic books, have produced tons of interviews, like similar to this online. It's I think the biggest thing is it certainly gives itself time and a little bit of credence to self-reflection and contemplation, and way more coffee. So hopefully people just like, well, and I can only speak for myself, but I want to come out of this attempting to be a better person. I know that's pretty cheesy, but it is something that I want to reflect more on. So yeah, Chaz.
Yeah, coming out of this a better person is cool. I think coming out of this with a better appreciation of other people,
Right.
I think is kind of neat. And being able to hopefully we get back to the point where we can see our friends, see people we care about, and be able to give them a hug.
Yeah.
As opposed to being afraid of catching stuff, which
Yeah.
is tough. That's the thing that's really hard right now. I found early on in the pandemic that I was kind of distrustful of other people because I didn't want anybody to get too close. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to die, that kind of thing. And then we see people that walk around without their masks on or whatever at the grocery store, and we're just like, all of a sudden now we're really judgmental, and we're like, what are you doing? You're risking everyone's lives, and that kind of thing. And it's separating an already divisive country.
Right.
It's just making things worse in that regard. So in terms of what we're doing to stay safe and sane, think just doing art, getting art out there, continuing to talk to people online. We've gotten pretty close, having to be around each other now almost 24/7.
Yeah.
So that puts a challenging spin on a marriage for sure.
Right.
And it's just trying to exercise, trying to learn new skills, which is why I ended up kind of going and learning watercolor and learning Photoshop, because I wanted to try to do something new. I figured, well, why, while this is all going on, maybe I could do something to become a better artist.
Yeah.
And so I had always wanted to try watercolor. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just a message here that Melissa's sent, and I noticed it too visually, is you've got your shop manager, his tail keeps coming, crawling across the screen.
That's our kitty. Her name is Sif, S-I-F.
Oh, her.
And she likes to photobomb whenever possible.
Excellent. So. As a good cat should.
Exactly. Hey,
Chaz, along with the quarantine and everything, what kind of medium, what kind of shows and stuff, have you been able to kind of geek out on?
Well, as we talked about before the interview, we've really been getting into Avatar, the cartoon. Yeah. That's been really very cool. We've been watching some new Netflix movies and stuff that they've come out with.
Oh, cool.
The show, there's a movie called The Old Guard.
Yep. Which
is great. It's like about these 4 people who are immortal.
Yeah.
And that's been really neat. Dragon Prince on Netflix has been fantastic. I've been watching a lot of Comic Book Men, which is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So and of course, The Mandalorian on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That rocks.
Yeah, I love that. I saw that the first time by myself and didn't think all that much of it, and then it's interesting, like the company you keep, how things and perspectives change. So I watched it with my girlfriend, and absolutely fell in love with it the second time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Carolyn and I, luckily, we're into the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we like watching a lot of the same kinds of things. So we grew on fantasy and sci-fi and steampunk, and
Cool.
I'm really dying for somebody to come out with a really cool cyberpunk show.
Right.
Because I know there's the one where the guy is being put into a different body and he has to solve somebody's murder and whatever.
That,
Altered Carbon.
yeah,
Altered Carbon. That first season, and that sucks you in, and that's cyberpunk, and that's really cool. So yeah, I like stuff like that.
yeah. I think, isn't there a season 2 that's out with Anthony Mackie?
Yeah. I've seen the first couple of episodes of that. That's been really cool.
Okay.
But then we got distracted by all the other shows to watch. So.
Yeah. Yeah. The Old Guard was really good. I caught that last weekend when it came out. Had no idea about the comic book from Greg Rucka, but I was watching that. I was like, oh, so this is what Highlander 2 should have been.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, hey, let's stop cutting off each other's heads and actually be, people that do cool stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, let's work together and make the world a better place. Yeah.
Right. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally high. Yeah. So if they do a sequel to that, they need to get Christopher Lambert to do,
Well, they probably could, but he's kind of getting up there. I don't think that immortality thing works so well for him now.
Well, they can de-age him. It's Netflix. They're basically the online Disney.
Well, that's true, but I think that's more trouble than it's worth. They could just get another French actor who's younger and just get that guy.
Yeah, true.
A bunch of young French actors are sitting around going, "We're right here.
Yeah.
Hello, we're right here.
We need the work.
Yeah, we need to work. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm standing right here." What I actually really want them to do is, there's so much stuff that I really want them to do. I want them to come out with a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That would be badass.
That would be cool. Yeah. I love the comic book. I like the movie just because it's visual stimulus. It's just bright colors and stuff. It's not a very good film, but.
I disagree, but we only have a couple of minutes apparently.
Right. So yeah, is there anything else that you would like to pitch, or let's remind people of your website.
Yeah, it's chazkemp.com. We also have go to Etsy, check out the Ashelon Oracle deck on Etsy. Check out my wife's writing. Her name is Carolyn K. That's CarolynKay. Yes, that's it, Melissa. Yes, without the C though. So it's just Ashelon, ASHELON. And just and to be honest, just continue to support the arts, support everyone's art. I'm also a part of the Convention Artists Guild, and we have art auctions pretty much every week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, perfect, Melissa. And we have art auctions every week, and those are really cool. A lot of really great local artists, local to Denver, and artists from all over the place, really. And it's very, very cool stuff. So definitely check that out.
Oh, fantastic. I think with that, we've probably timed out. So I want to take the opportunity to thank you, Chaz, for being so generous with your time and coming on here and chatting with us. And
well, thanks for inviting me. I'm very, very honored that you guys would ask. So thank you.
Yes. And
thank you both.
Thanks, Colleen. Where's that voice coming from?
I know. I don't have a picture today.
Todd?
But thank you both so much, and thank you to everyone who participated. It was really fun. And this recording will be available later on our YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Thanks, Colleen. Thanks, NanCon, Nerd Alert News. And thanks again to Chaz. I think with that, be good and be kind to each other.
Right on. Stay safe, guys. Thank you.